Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our inaugural episode of AUM Athlete Access. My name is Jacob Horton, and I'm the Sports Director here at Auburn University at Montgomery. And we are super excited to be coming live to you this afternoon from Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube from this virtual hangout session via the Zoom application. I'm joined today by a student-athlete representative from all 11 of our NCAA Division II sponsored sports. And we're just going to get a chance to catch up with each and every one of them today and just kind of see how everybody's been doing during this unprecedented time around the world. And obviously today, to avoid just absolute chaos, we've got 12 people, including myself, that are going to have the option to speak whenever. So most of our questions and talking points will be directed at either one student athlete or a particular group. So just the chat itself can maintain a sense of order and being under control. So also, guys, feel free to drop us a comment. And if we have some time to answer some questions, we'd love to hear what our audience has to say. So we appreciate you guys tuning in. And we're going to kick this episode off today by just going around the chat room and letting our student athletes introduce themselves and tell you their hometown and their classification. So what we'll do, we'll start with our fall sports, we'll transition to our winter, and then our spring sports student athletes. So we'll start by having our men's cross country, women's cross country, men's soccer, women's soccer, and our volleyball team representatives introduce themselves. So if men's cross country would start, and we'll go from there.
All right. Hey, guys. My name is Thomas Wolf, and I'm from Trussville, Alabama, and I'm a upcoming junior.
Hey, everyone. I'm Nicole Luther. I'm an upcoming sophomore, and I'm from Daphne, Alabama.
What's up, guys? I'm Andrew Elkins. I'm from Bay St. Louis, Mississippi, and I'm an upcoming senior.
Hey, I'm Allison Mccrimmon. I'm from Alabaster, Alabama, and I'm an upcoming senior as well.
I'm Skylar Coppinger. I play volleyball. I'm from Tallahassee, Florida, and I'm an upcoming senior.
All right, and now our winter sports. If men's basketball rep would go first, followed by our women's basketball representative.
Hey, I'm Harry Jackson. I'm an upcoming senior, and yeah.
I'm KK Bullet, and I'm an upcoming senior.
All right, and finally, our spring sports. We'll go baseball first, followed by softball, then men's tennis and women's tennis.
Matt Delanco. I'm a fifth-year senior, sixth-year senior now, I guess, and I'm from Southern Illinois.
I'm Morgan Duchelle, and I'm an upcoming senior, and I'm from Cape Girardeau, Missouri.
Hey, I'm Mohamed Badouan. I'm from Montgomery, Alabama, and I am a upcoming sophomore.
Hi, my name is Sofia Mustra. I'm from Mexico, and I'm an upcoming senior.
All right, well, thanks, guys, for introducing yourselves. We're just going to hop right in now. Our first question is for our spring sports. These guys were undoubtedly the most affected by the coronavirus outbreak with, having their seasons canceled just a little over a month into their respective campaigns. So we'll start with Matt. And then we'll have Morgan, Mohammed, and Sophia follow up. But Matt, can you just tell our audience about just, how you found out about the cancellation of the 2020 season and just what your initial reaction was to all of it?
Going out to the field and one sack turned into like 2 hours and just kind of waiting around. And then meanwhile, we're all in in the locker room, people on their Twitter feeds and that whole week. It was like every hour, every 20 minutes, new news was breaking. Like some schools are closing and other stuff's happening, and we're just basically this is probably not going to be good for us. So, yeah.
And what was your initial reaction to that once you found out about the news?
That's a huge bummer. Just all the work you put in over the fall, and then as a spring sport, you're really excited over winter break. You can't really wait to get back to school and get going again. And we were able to get going I guess we were fortunate that we could play about 15 to 20 games. And but yeah, just when stuff gets kind of rolling and the season's on its way, it kind of just stops. Yeah.
Morgan, I'm sorry, Matt, for cutting you out. Morgan, same question for you. How did Coach Newell go about with that process, and just what was your initial reaction to all of it?
My initial reaction was just I was really upset for the seniors, and we were really excited for our upcoming season just to get cut short like that. And Coach Newell's a trooper; he's always optimistic, and he kept us in good graces with everything. It just really sucked to have it cut short.
I know we can all relate to that. Mohammed, Sophia, you can probably piggyback off each other, but what was that process for you guys? How did Coach Benuelos handle that, go about that with you guys? And just kind of like with them, just what was your initial reaction to all of it?
So I guess for speaking for me and Sophia, we were on the way to Orlando on the bus, and we stopped in Tallahassee, waited there, and we just kept waiting for about like 4 hours, maybe even more. And then they just kind of said, all right, it's time to come back home. They didn't officially announce that it was canceled, but you could tell like where everything was going. And Jessie met us outside as soon as the bus arrived at AUM, and she apologized, and like it's an unfortunate event, but yeah, I think biggest thing was just being so hyped up and getting so excited, and just starting the season, and then everything just kind of just disappearing.
I know it's kind of a double bummer for you guys. I know, Sophia, y'all were getting you and Muhammad were getting ready to be on your spring break trip also. So you had a cancellation of a weekend and your spring break trip kind of all in one. So that was probably a kind of a double bummer for you guys.
I think none of us like really realized what was going on until we stopped in Tallahassee for, as Mohammed said, like 4 hours. It felt like an eternity. And then just going back and arrived to Montgomery to actually see Jessie and Amber Ray outside of the athletics building. It was just like in a movie. I remember it so well. I don't know. It just felt really bad. And I think it hits us all when we just arrived and we saw Jessie outside. It was like, this is happening.
It's definitely had an effect on all of us, whether it's spring, winter, or fall sports. But our next kind of point here goes back to our fall sports, and it's kind of derivative of what we just talked about with our spring sports student athletes. What we'll do is we'll have our cross country representative answer, followed by soccer, and then volleyball, and round out the question with our basketball refs. But for you guys that weren't in your championship segment season when it happened, can you tell us how this current situation has affected you guys? By the way, you've been preparing for the upcoming season, kind of both physically and mentally. The cross country, Thomas or Nicole, you mind answering that first?
Yeah, so I mean, for us with cross country, we're fortunate because we can train on our own individually, and we don't really need a team as far as training over the summer and that kind of thing. So we really weren't affected too much by it. Sometimes you can even say it might have helped us just because all you have to focus on is doing those workouts and running. It wasn't much of a distraction other than that, but it really hasn't affected me or I'm sure Nicole much at all.
Yeah, so business as usual for you, Nicole?
Yeah, I was going to say, to piggyback off of that, in a sense, it kind of helped like physically, just because normally we would we would run all of track and then we'd start our spring season like middle of May or endish. It basically just made it to where we had a longer like build up during our summer training. So now our body doesn't have as much impact and we're not running as high of mileage as fast. So we've got more time to like prepare for fall and everything. So, I mean, it definitely sucked, but it could have been worse.
Well, Andy, I know you guys were, coming off of some pretty good scrimmages, into your spring season and kind of going from there. But has it affected you in any way mentally with just how you're preparing for the upcoming year?
Yeah, I mean, I'd be lying if I said it's not, weighing on you mentally. Physically, you can always stay in shape, but talking to some of the guys, we all want to be back together with a team, and just training by yourself just gets a bit monotonous, especially when you're on the field with 11 guys and training with 25 every day. But yeah, no, mentally it's been tough, but you're just looking forward to hopefully good news in August.
For sure. And Allison, kind of piggybacking off that same question, is there anything really different you've been doing this off season to prepare?
For the most part, no. I mean, we were still getting used to our new coach. We were still in that transition, but coming like home to have a workout it's really hard to stay motivated because we would have had more time with the team, like Andy said, and it's hard to just get up and go when you'd want to just sit.
Yeah, for sure. And Skylar, kind of same your way. Has it mentally, physical? Are you still where you think you would normally be in a situation kind of going into the fall, or is this? Do you think you're feeling the effects yet as we go into it?
In some ways, I think a lot of us have felt the effects. Having a bunch of what ifs on your brain all the time, but I don't know. Coaches really tried to prepare us mentally. Like, our season has been cut a little short game days from 32 to 20. So we have to come back ready to go the first day we get back on campus, which has been really weighing on my mind. And I'm sure my teammates we have to do whatever we can right now in this short amount of time to get prepared so physically we come back as in shape as when we left. Because it kind of stunk, because whenever we left, we were really on, the incline of what we were trying to do for next season. We were really working out hard and practicing hard, and we saw a lot of improvement. So I think just physically trying to stay where we were at and push really hard and stay active, so that when we come back, we can focus mostly on our volleyball skills and not have to worry about getting us physically back in shape and stuff. So.
Sure. And for our basketball people, I know you guys, it's a little bit different just because, you come in, you got a little bit of time where you're, not doing a lot of organized team stuff right off the bat, and then you get going, and then you have the season, then you have a couple of weeks after there where the season's over and you've got just classes. But has this had any effect on you guys, Meher, KK, just how you're going about preparing for the year?
Nah, not really, because like the other sports said, it's really just it give us more time to work out and be more physically and mentally in shape coming back for the next season. So it's not too much of a difference. Plus, we had just finished our season going into spring break, so we was kind of entering that, chill spot between workouts and spring workouts.
So you've just been on spring break ever since, huh?
Pretty much.
Well, cool. Well, KK, have you been preparing any differently than you normally would? Have you been, or just from this off season, anything different you're doing?
Actually, yes. I mean, it's a little more. It's different. You know what I'm saying? Because at school we got the wellness, we got the gym. All right down a little walk. You know what I'm saying? Here, the courts are closed. You got to go outside. You got to pull the jump rope out the garage. You got to do a whole bunch of stuff that we really wasn't doing. So preparation is definitely different. But the grind still goes on. So once I find that, working right now, trying to find that good, steady schedule, which is what I'm working on now, just getting everything back to normal. So it's definitely been different. But hopefully one day it'll get back to normal. So
I think we're all hoping to at least be on some track of being normal when we get hopefully get things started here in the fall. Now, Sophia, as the lone representative today from a foreign country, can you just tell our audience a little bit how your home country of Mexico has been doing, and just what it's been like living there during this pandemic?
Well, in Mexico, they're doing things a little bit different. Every state is making their own kind of like safety rules. And particularly in my state and my hometown, there's been non-cases of COVID-19. So everything is kind of like running as usual. But of course, there's like the restaurants are not open, the clubs are closed, so I cannot go practice as I will used to. But I mean, I was expecting worse when I was traveling back home. So that's good, I guess.
Absolutely. We've also got a handful of student athletes in our chat today, and Andy and Skylar, Harith, Morgan, and Matt, that are not native to the state of Alabama, which kind of opens us up to some talking points here of just getting a better idea of what their home state's doing and how they're operating. So we'll start with Andy, who hails from Mississippi, who calls out his home. How are our neighbors to the west doing right now in terms of just businesses reopened, people taking extra sanitary precautions, things like that? How is the state of Mississippi holding up in comparison to Alabama?
From what I've seen, I think we're doing all right. Honestly, it's almost getting back to business as usual here. Like gyms this morning, I went in there, they're all open. They say, some saying half capacity, some say no more than 10. I know for like sports specifically, you can train with 20 or less people right now. So we can have full-sided soccer training. There's already like adult leagues starting up here. Everything's pretty much going back to usual. They have extra sanitary things like at Walmart and at restaurants and stuff, but everything's pretty much open. You can dine in. I don't know if we don't have the testing but I don't know. Like everything's kind of back to normal almost here.
Cool. Well, Skylar, kind of same for you being upstate that borders us. I know beaches are starting to reopen and things like that, but how are things in Florida just based off of what you've seen?
I mean, what I've seen is that Florida is doing pretty good, especially like where I'm at, the kind of northern panhandle region. I think our cases are pretty low, and everyone's really, trying their best to do the protective equipment, masks and everything. I know, Walmart's open. It closes a lot earlier now at 8:30, and I'm sure that's everywhere. And yeah, just everywhere you have to wear your masks pretty much to go in. The gyms have reopened, which was really exciting. Beaches are open. It's pretty much getting back to, like he said, business as usual for the most part. So.
Well, Mahara, just based off of their responses, are people in Tennessee kind of generally following those same guidelines, or are things kind of the same your way in Tennessee?
Yeah, pretty much. Like everything's basically open back up out here. So I mean, everybody's still taking the safety precautions, like the 6 feet distance, and everybody still wearing a lot of masks and everything. So yeah, everything's pretty much back to normal. It's just still a little different.
Well, the Morgan and Matt, you guys are a little further north and a little bit west than most of the athletes we typically recruit. But just how are you guys handling people like in the states of Illinois and Missouri? How are they going about handling this? Is it any different than how we've been operating down here in the southern part of the country?
So yeah, it's Illinois is pretty much completely shut down. Like grocery stores are open, and you can't dine in. Pretty much everywhere you go, you either required a mask or strongly encouraged to wear a mask. Gyms are closed. Yeah, so it's slow to reopen here.
I know I'm still in Montgomery working on campus. So from my family, what I've heard is it's about the same here. Like gyms are starting to reopen. You got to sit at every other table when you go to a restaurant. And it's basically the same here. We've been opening, like we reopened the state about the same time as Alabama. So that's what I've heard from them.
Awesome. Well, it's nice to get a kind of a consensus of who's doing what and how each state is operating. We've actually got a question from our assistant athletic director for external relations, Mr. Tim Lutz. He asked us, "What are you looking forward to most about getting back to campus?" I know I'm just looking back for my answer. I'm just looking forward to just being around you guys and just a sense of normalcy and just being able to talk about the awesome stuff that you do. But what's something you guys are looking forward to? Just what are you looking forward to the most when we get back to campus?
For me, it's hands down seeing my team. Like we're used to seeing someone so much and spending so much time with them. You really just like build a family and you're having so much fun. So whatever you're doing, doesn't matter if you're both sitting down on your phones. It's the fact of being around each other. You kind of like feel um, just a sense of you might be bored, but you're not really just because you're both there. It's just I miss everybody and all the memories that were made that we're making and everything that we did together. So
I'm definitely looking forward to getting back on a real volleyball court and having 6 people on the court at one time because right now I'm kind of playing on the grass in my backyard without my teammates and it's really difficult to do a real life game situation. So I'm really excited to get back in the gym with my team and my coach and really try to get better.
Well, cool. We're going to take one more question, then we're going to kind of segue into our segment where we're going to kind of ask some more individualized sports questions. But our senior director of athletics, Miss Jessie Rosa, asked, "There's a silver lining to every situation, wherever you are in life. What's been the perk or the positive takeaway that you guys have taken from this?" I know for me, I'll answer before you. I know for me, it's given me an opportunity just to kind of put things into perspective. I've been trying to talk to my family more, make time for things like that. It's really helping me put things into perspective. But what about you guys? What are you taking away from this?
I've been able to like slow down more and kind of like you said about family. My mom's a teacher, so like she did the last 2 weeks of school from home, and so everybody's just been home and everything. And then I've also been able to like just I guess slow down, and it just helps mentally and physically.
I know for me, it's been just taking advantage of the outdoors and doing a lot of things I normally wouldn't do, like maybe walks or bike rides or disc golf or just that kind of thing that normally we don't normally do. Maybe video games or Netflix in the way, but when we get bored of that, there's a lot of other things there is to do out there. So that's been one of the big takeaways for me.
Yeah, I know for me, it's been really nice to get to spend a lot of time with my family, my parents and sister and everyone being off from work for like 3 weeks or whatever. And just getting to see my grandparents a lot more over this break has really been nice.
I think there's a couple things for me. One, I actually get to sleep and not, get like 5 hours and that's it. Two, I got to catch up on a lot of Netflix shows. That helped a lot because I never was able to have any free time with all the studying and tennis going on. And yeah, family's cool too. But I already live here in Montgomery. I see them all the time. So
I definitely feel like I didn't want to take, like, you never know when your last practice is going to be or your last game is going to be, especially for the seniors. And it happened to them. It was just heartbreaking. So I know not to take any practice for granted or workout or any meeting with a team. Like, that could have been our last time with those seniors. So it just really sucks. And that's what really opened my eyes to everything during this pandemic.
Well, great. Well, now that we've talked current events a little bit, we're going to try to segue into some conversation that's a little more focused on AUM athletics and maybe talk about some of the things that happened in 2019-20 and just reflect on a year that, even though it was short and still brought us a lot of memories. And we'll start with our fall sports. We'll start with Allison Mccrimmon of women's soccer. Allison, I know the women's soccer program brought in head coach Joyanne Harity to lead the program in January this year, who's for those that don't know her, she's really helped build Carson Newman, a Division II school in Jefferson City, Tennessee, into a national powerhouse in Division II women's soccer as both a player and a coach. So there's a lot of buzz and excitement about having her, being the head of our program now. And I know there hasn't been a lot of opportunity for you, Allison, to spend time with her as much as you could have due to the COVID-19 situation. But just from a player's perspective, how have your experiences with Coach Harity been so far?
I love her passion. I've never had a coach who has had as much passion for the sport that she has, because from the minute she came in, it's obvious that she's cared, and her goal was to just, make us better, want us to be better. And I love that, because every time I go into practice, it's not even that I want to play, I want to win just because I want to win. It's because her excitement is just feeding my excitement. And so I love that. That's one of my favorite things about her. And then she's taken the time to just really not only just get to know us, but it's amazing how much she just wants us to be better. And I admire that about her a lot.
Awesome. We're going to stay within the confines of the soccer complex and talk about our men's program here for a second. Andy, in 2019, we bring in a new head coach in Maddie Thorne, who was a GA at AUM back in the early 2000s and who built a GSC powerhouse at West Al over his time there. We essentially make a name for ourselves in year one under Coach Thorne. We put together, 21 points over 11 GSC matches, finished second in the regular season standings. Just for you, when was that moment with last year's team where you kind of thought to yourself, man, we've got a shot to be really good and do some special stuff? Excuse me. Was it, first day of practice, first scrimmage? When was that kind of cathartic moment for you, Andy?
I think we all kind of knew from the beginning, like the first couple of training sessions, when we started to get to know each other, we were like, man, we could be all right. And then, we lost the first couple games and we really weren't sure. But I think when we won against West Florida, against Florida Southern at Florida Tech, I think that was like, oh man, we can really be good. And then when we won on the road in the middle of the conference at West Florida 1-0, I think that's the moment when we were like, yeah, we could really make something special this year.
Yeah, and to put it in perspective, we won just 2 GSC matches the year before in 2018. We were right there in a lot of contests, just couldn't quite get over the hump. Have you ever been a part of anything like that, as far as a turnaround to be a part of a group of guys that were able to just change the culture so quickly from one year to the next?
Honestly, no. I've always talked about it in teams, and I think it really took everybody buying into it. It started obviously from the top with Maddie and Joe. They really instilled that in us from the beginning. And we just took their confidence and took that bit of resilience that they built in us and just kind of went with it on the field. And then I think we showed it match after match.
Absolutely. Well, let's stay on the men's side of things for a second and talk about our 2019 men's cross country team. Thomas, I think it's safe to say our 2019 team was a very special group. We put together some great team and individual finishes. We had a top 5 finish at the GSC championship, had our first all GSC performer in Austin Atkinson. But I think the icing on the cake of all that, obviously qualifying for the NCAA South Regional in Lakeland, Florida. Can you just talk a little bit about that whole experience and how cool it was for, say, that you were a part of the first program in AUM athletics to qualify for postseason play as a member of Division II?
Yeah, so regionals is an awesome experience, not only for us, but for the coaches as well. We were a young group, and we're still a very young group, and it was cool to get some experience as far as the postseason goes. And obviously, the end goal was to make it to nationals, and that was just us getting one step closer to getting to that point. And it was a really fun time, and it was very memorable to be a part of something like that. So we're excited for next year to prove that we belong in conference and in Division II.
Cool. I want to talk to kind of our freshmen now for a second. Nicole, 2019 coming in as your freshman year, being a member of the AUM women's cross country team. But just before, from your brief time at AUM, what would you say has been the biggest difference between competing in high school and competing at the collegiate level, just based off of your first year?
Definitely like some of the workouts and stuff are harder. And then everyone, including like our team, but also just all the athletes in general, are more motivated. People aren't just there because they just decided to show up one day. You're either all in or you're not in at all. And so that was definitely cool and nice having like a lot of people that are motivated around you and people like the same speed as you. At least with running in high school, it was hard to be motivated when there was like two people that were super fast and then everybody else was finishing 30 and 40 minutes behind. And so now that everyone's more like on the same page and all, it's probably the biggest difference.
Cool. Well, do you have any advice for incoming freshmen as they begin to prepare for their collegiate careers? Is there anything that might have helped you now, had you known going into your freshman year, that you think would be helpful to share with them?
I know at least with running, like you have to take some days easy. I came in my summer of like the end of senior year, summer before freshman year of college. And I thought that like every day I needed to go hard and run as fast as I could. And I found myself by like the end of July, I was dead and I could barely run 9-minute paces. And I like had convinced myself that something was wrong and stuff. And so finally I talked to some of the other teammates and they were like, no, like, it's okay to take some days easy. So I guess in the end, like, even though you're going to run in college or you're going to play in college, like, you still have to take easy days in everything. It's not like you're going to be this amazing player, in your first year.
Cool. And just like Nicole, this last academic year was the freshman campaign for you also, Mohammed. And just based off of what she's talked about, what differences between high school and college just really stood off the bat for you just coming into your first year?
For tennis, at least, it's more of an individual sport before entering college. And at college, even though you play by yourself in certain competitions, you're still as a team together. So I think for me, that was the biggest thing, that I got to be on a team and that we could support each other from no matter where you were on the court. But if I had any advice for any freshmen, I think it would be, for me, a lot of the old upperclassmen told me that, some days take it easy, like she said, and I did. And I think that was a great piece of advice. But if I also had to say, push yourself at the same time, because some days that some people took it easy, me and Joel, one of our other freshmen, and two other freshmen, we went out there and we just started practicing hard because we knew we wanted to be better. And as a freshman, you have so much room, a lot of room to grow. So take it easy, but at the same time, when it's the right time, push yourself.
Well, I think we can all, and supporters of the program can all agree that for the small sample that was 2020, you had a very successful season. And on May 19th, you were named the ITA South Region Rookie of the Year. First, just congrats on that, Mohammed, on taking home that prestigious honor.
Thank you.
How does it feel for you to take home that award in a region that is just super notorious for being so dominant at Division II level tennis?
Honestly, it feels really good. And it was a good I kind of woke up to Coach's message. I slept until like 1 o'clock. Woke up to his message and it was like, congratulations. I was like, thank you. Like, it was a big something I could be really proud of, and I felt really good because now with the corona and everything, it was something that I could go downstairs and tell my family and just have a smile and a positive energy in the house. And I think it's really exciting because over the time that I've played, I saw how tough our division is and our conference and region. So for me to pull out that award, I think it was a lot of my hard work paid off. Especially coaches, they helped me a lot because I came in and I had a lot of room to grow, and they helped me and they shaped me in the way that I needed it. So honestly, all thanks goes to them and my team, because they're the ones that pushed me to get to that level.
Absolutely. It was a very, very well-deserved honor. And once again, congrats on that, Mohammed. We're looking forward to hopefully you guys in our tennis program maybe bringing in some more hardware soon whenever we're able to compete again.
It's coming.
We're going to go back to fall now here with volleyball. Skylar, you've got a pretty cool backstory right now. You're one of just two current players on our roster that was on our inaugural team in 2017. But in 2019, you guys had a kind of a similar situation to our men's soccer program in terms of having immediate success under a first-year head coach. Can you just talk about what it was that Coach Flavia was able to do in year one that was able to bring in so much success right away?
Yeah, she pretty much came in right away the spring of my sophomore year. Yeah, spring of my sophomore year. And she pretty much just did like a 360 on the entire program. You know, she really focused on changing the culture and the mindset of the entire program. It went from, you know, some people not wanting to work hard, some people, you know, not wanting to do this, to everyone will work hard. Everyone has the same goal to win. And she really just expects a lot out of us, which I think is what helped us. You know, she wants the top caliber of play. And if you aren't there, you are going to work hard until you reach that. And she's not going to settle for anything less. And we're really focused on hard work, whether it's in the gym, in the weight room, off the court, you know, in the classroom, whatever it is. Our main thing is hard work is going to pay off. And it obviously had our first season. Our goal, you know, was to make top half of the conference, and we hit that. So now we're on to bigger and better goals. And it's just really exciting to see, like, me and Jalen, for instance, coming from a very unique situation, you know, 2 different coaches in a short amount of time, and really seeing just a complete, like, difference in the program as a whole.
For sure. Now let's talk about our winter sports a little bit. KK, I think one of the coolest and really most memorable things we did in 2020 was hosting the Alabama Special Olympics State Basketball Championship. And you played a pretty big part in that. Can you explain to our audience your role and what you were responsible for that day, and just how it felt to be a part of something like that?
The Special Olympics is fun every time, every year. It's always a really big part of what we do. And I have a lot of fun with it, honestly. I'm usually the I don't even know what you call it, the speaker. I don't know. I'm the one with the microphone the whole time.
Hype man.
Yeah. So hype man. But it's a cool day to make them feel loved, and, you know, let them know, you know, we're just here to have a good time. We're here to celebrate them as they have fun. And it's extremely fun for all the athletes that do come. Just seeing them be able to support, watching them what we do what we do is actually very fun. The atmosphere is always great. It's the best part is just seeing them have so much fun. So through the years that I've been doing it, since I got on campus my freshman year, I've developed like relationships with different people on every team. So now every year they come back, they know, oh, that's KK, you know, and I know that's, you know, so and so. So it's cool been creating those relationships and things like that. So
yeah, I know it certainly puts things into perspective. You know, just kind of makes you feel like that's what it's all about. But just knowing that you're able to bring so much happiness to so many people. How does that make you feel? Just knowing that just the little role that you have in that day goes such a long way.
I don't know, man. It feels good, but like I said, at the end of the day, like, it's for them. As long as they're happy, I'm happy. It's really fun seeing the smiles on all their faces, and I know everybody knows that one dude who hits all the threes, and then he like goes in the crowd every single time. That's lit. Seeing all that, it's just fun seeing them have fun. So it's great to be a blessing to a blessing. So
absolutely, I think it's one of the cooler things we do, and are fortunate to do every year. Harith, man, can we talk a little bit about 2019-20? Crazy year for you guys. Just talk about all the things we were able to do in a few months, all the dramatic finishes, the accolades. Just how would you describe last year's team and just what we were able to accomplish?
Oh man, last year was probably one of the most funniest years of basketball because of all the highs and lows that we went through, and it was just amazing being able to come in my first year at AUM and able to be a part of something so crazy. Being able to be a part of the first game winner by Jamal Bozeman to win our first GCS win ever. And then coming back from 29 down against Montevallo, which was ranked number 1 in the conference at the time, and beat them in fashion was crazy. And we all can't forget the game winner that D hit against Christian Brothers. And I think if you was a fan when we was playing those games, I think all the ups and downs and the emotions that was going through the game, I know they went back home and went to sleep, like, because it was just that great. And for us being as a team, I think the biggest thing I could say about us was our camaraderie to come together in like such a short amount of time and do so much history in our first year as a GSC team, and it was just amazing.
Yeah, like you said, it's hard to imagine that we didn't have as many visits to the training room as we probably should have with all the crazy finishes. But talking about those finishes, was there a moment from there? I know you talked about Bozeman's buzzer beater, Darian Taylor's near half court shot to be Christian Brothers, the comeback win. Is there a moment last year that kind of stands out from the rest as far as just being just most memorable in your mind?
Probably the game winner against Christian Brothers, because the moment when it happened, like they had hit the three, we took it out, then they had stole it again, and they hit the three, and it was like 2 seconds left on the clock, and everybody was like, "Oh man!" And then next thing you know, we get the ball in the D, and D drives it up and shakes and bake, get to the volleyball line and pulls up. And in that moment, like everything just got silent. And when he hit it, it was just the relief, and how the team and the fans interacted at the end of the game was amazing.
I was going to say, it's almost like something out of a movie. You think about, being up by 2 possessions with around less than 10 seconds left from being down and then going right back up. Just the emotional roller coaster of that 10-second period is something that not even Steven Spielberg could match just about in excitement. I know that was just a crazy swing of events. But let's shift our focus now to some of our spring sports, and we'll start with women's tennis. So, Sophia, I think what's so neat about our women's tennis team is the fact that most of y'all, 5 out of the 7 from 2020 have been playing pretty much their entire college career together. Can you just talk about that 2018 recruiting class of, yourself, Alva De La Torre, Julia Enderink, Tanya Fossmeyer, and Sophia Navarro, and y'all come in as freshmen and you're still playing together through 2020. How has playing with each of them for the last 3 years helped strengthen your relationships both on and off the court?
I think for the 5 of us, it's been just such an amazing journey. Being able to actually live this whole college experience with other 4 girls that were going through the same thing as you at the same time, it's just really unique. Because there's going to be always someone there that knows exactly what you're going through. Like being homesick, since every single one of us is like from a foreign country, or maybe trying to get used to the language, because every single one of us speaks another language. So it's been really cool, and I think that helped us a lot. In our freshman year, at least, we were really young. We didn't know what we were going through or what to expect in our season. But now that we were most of us juniors, I think we were a really complete team. And I think we would have been really good if we were able to finish our season.
Absolutely. I think, having you guys, with all the experience together, I think it's only going to pay off as we get down the road, just having that many more games under your belt. Well, Matt, I know you've had a pretty interesting path at AUM. You're played for former AUM baseball great Sam Judah at Parkland College. You guys had some top 5 finishes in the NJCAA during your time. You and several teammates from Parkland came down to play at AUM in 2018. Can you just talk about your path to AUM and ultimately what led to your decision to become a Warhawk?
Yeah, of course. So it kind of Sam Judah, as you mentioned, is kind of the reason I guess I'm here. Yeah, he played and coached a little bit here, and then ended up becoming coach where I went to junior college at Parkland. And there he was just I really looked up to Sam, and he taught me a lot about hitting, and like we became really close there. And obviously he had the connection down at AUM, so it was just kind of a natural pipeline. Like he was recommended I go here, and I checked it out and I loved it. And what made it easier is like that there was that pipeline between our junior college and AUM where people I had played with that were older than me went to AUM. And by the time I got down here, I think there was like 7 or 8 of us, all from the Illinois area. So it didn't feel like I was going far from home really when I was playing with them.
For sure. And this is something, Matt, I've always wanted to ask you, and I just have never took advantage of having the time to do it. Last year against West Georgia, we're playing, I think it was the Saturday doubleheader. And in one of the games, you square around the bunt, pull back, proceed to hit one 400 feet over the left field wall. Can you take us through that at bat? Like, what were you trying to do? Were you trying to do that, or what was going into that bat? What was the plan? Is that what you wanted to do there?
No, Coach Marty, he gave me it's a fake bunt. You bring the third baseman comes in and you try to hit it on the ground past him. I didn't do that. It was kind of just like a freak. It was lucky, honestly, but it was crazy. I didn't even know how that happened. I was around in third. Marty just kind of like smirked and shook his head at me. But yeah, that was fun.
I was about to say he can't be mad with the result, right? Because that's the ultimate goal, right? Every at bat, that's kind of the ultimate goal. You want to hit it over the fence, even if you're not a home run hitter. But I was always curious about that. Just wanted to get inside your mind to figure out exactly why that happened.
Yeah.
Well, Morgan, we've already grouped you and Matt as being kids from a state that's several hours away from AUM. Can you talk a little bit about your recruiting process and just what ultimately sold you on AUM softball?
I know this sounds weird, but growing up, I always listened to country music and listened to Alabama and Hank Williams Jr. sing about Alabama. I was like, that must be a pretty awesome state. And it was quite funny because Coach Newell was up at our Missouri, like the championship, like state tournament, and he wasn't even there for me. He was watching another player, and he just happened to walk by my game and saw me throw down the second, and then he talked to my dad. And then after the game, my dad told me, he's like, oh, this coach from Alabama is recruiting you. And then I was sold. I was like, I might be able to go to Alabama now. Like, that'd be pretty cool. So I ended up pretty much mentally committing in my head, but yeah.
Wow. So we can say that although Coach Newell was probably just as very responsible in your process, we can give probably just as much credit to Hank Williams Jr. and other country music greats for your commitment to AUM.
Yeah. Pretty much. They have a lot to do with it.
That's awesome. Well, hey, back in January, we did a really cool video piece with you guys where you just, we kind of got to know a little bit better with kind of a rapid fire speed round of questions. And one of your questions was, I believe, if you had a superpower, what would it be? And you chose invisibility. Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
I really thought you were going to ask about the squirrel question.
I mean, we can get to that. We can get to that too if you'd like. You can elaborate on that if you'd like, or on both.
I chose invisibility because it would just be cool to. I really don't know. I think maybe I just answered it kind of nervously. To be invisible would be cool because you could be. I don't know.
We could sneak an extra player on the field. Nothing else. We could play with 10. Nobody would know.
I could play with
outfielder. Yeah, for sure. Play short field like we do in coach pitch.
Yeah, that's what I would do. Just play left center.
There you go. Well, hey, let's shift gears again real quick. We've had an awesome time doing this. We're gonna do a little rapid fire round with some questions, and some of these are gonna be COVID themed, some won't be. But what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna call on a random student athlete, and just off the top of your head, you give me the first response that comes to your minds. We've all got the gist of this. So we're gonna start that, and we'll get through that, and maybe take some more questions there at the end. We're gonna start this here. So we're going to start right now. When you guys are ready. Skylar, what has been your favorite show to stream during this quarantine?
Big Little Lies.
All right, DJ, what album or mixtape have you been listening to the most during quarantine?
Ooh, Rod Wave, Pray for Love.
All right, Nicole, what's been your go-to coronavirus meal?
I hate to say it, but I work at Food Cyclists, a chicken place. So like 5 days a week, fried chicken.
All right, you can't go wrong with a box. Matt, do you have a favorite Korean baseball organization team since they've been airing lately?
I'm muted. I've been muted this whole time.
I think you're muted, Matt. You watching any KBO baseball?
Oh, I tried, but it's always on at like 4 a.m. Maybe isn't there someone like a dinosaur team?
They're the Dinos. Yeah, they're the Dinos. I've taken favor of them too. They got a cool mascot.
Yeah, that's cool.
All right, KK, what has been your favorite thing to do to kill time during the pandemic?
Make money.
As long as you're abiding by the rules. Andy, have you downloaded TikTok?
Yes, I didn't want to, but I did.
Have you been posting content?
I have not.
Okay, so you're just there to see other people's stuff.
Yeah, I got suckered into it by my siblings.
All right, Morgan, fill in the blank. When I'm eventually back on AUM softball field, I'm going to feel what?
Awesome. Excited. Ready to
All right.
grind.
Thomas, what are you looking forward to doing the most when things fully return to normal that you haven't been able to do during the quarantine?
Probably just eating restaurants with friends, family.
All right, Mac, what is your current record for longest foot volley with a roll of toilet paper? I know you've done it.
Like maybe 12, maybe.
All right, Mohammed. All right, your favorite. This is a very specific question, but your favorite Office character, and how many times have you watched it through since the quarantine has started? Be honest.
Favorite Office character is probably going to be Jim because he's slick and he always just looks at the camera and then he'll look back, that kind of thing, and easily twice.
All right, Sophia, what have you missed the most? I know we've already discussed this, but what have you missed the most about AUM during the pandemic?
Definitely being in the training room with Harry and gossiping around.
All right, KK, we might have to circle back to this one, but greatest